Beau here, and welcome to my channel. On this channel we talk all about travel, and today we're kicking off my hostel series. So this series is going to have three parts. Number one, we're going to discuss basically what is a hostel. Number two, we're going to talk about what I love about a hostel. And number three, we're going to talk about what I hate about a hostel. So let's dive in right off the bat to what is a hostel. I'm going to break this down into 5 parts though. Number one, we're going to discuss what is a hostel. Number two, the quality of hostels. Number three, the types of hostels. Number four, who actually stays in a hostel. And number five, some honorable mentions of my favorite hostels in Mexico. Let's get to it. Number one, what is a hostel? A hostel is basically a communal living space, which basically means that rather than you having to pay $50 for a hotel over here, you can spend let's say $12 per night over here, as long as you have 4 roommates. So it's basically you are sharing a accommodation to knock down prices, and normally the environment and everything is very conducive to making friends, and especially for solo travelers. Number two, quality of hostels. This one I'm going to break down into very simple terms. So over here we have Motel 6, then we have the White Glove Inn. This hotel costs $20 per night. And over here we have Marriott or the Hyatt. And this one costs $150 to $200 a night. It's the same things with hostels. You have hostels all the way down to $3, $4, $5 per night, all the way up to $20, $25 per night. However, you are going to get what you pay for. So this one over here that costs $20, $25 a night, well, you may get a pool with it. You may have, the environment may be great. They may have a game room where they have PlayStations and Xboxes you can play on a massive screen. They have an upstairs balcony. They have a full bar. They have a restaurant. So over here, this one's very, very nice. Over here, though, at the White Glove Inn, equivalent of a hostel, you mainly just get a bed. It doesn't have a kitchen. It doesn't have a pool. It basically has nothing. So all of a sudden you're just getting a bed, a place to sleep in, no air conditioner, no heating. It's just basically just a cot for you to spend the night in. So you have 2 different completely polar opposites here, right? However, my average hostel cost per night whenever I'm paying for a hostel and not working for one is about $10 to $15 a night. Granted, in San Cristobal, I stayed in an incredible hostel. I'll tell you about it at the end. But that hostel was $6 a night. But normally my cost is between $10 and $15 a night. And these hostels normally include a hangout area, a great vibe to meet people. They normally have TVs that you can like watch your sports on. You can watch Netflix on. Some of them have bars. They all have full kitchens. That's one thing that I always make sure every hostel has a full kitchen, because that's the easiest way to save money while traveling. So basically that kind of describes to you the quality of hostels, and it's very, very broad. You can either stay at somewhere that's very, very basic, just a bed, or you can go all the way up to the equivalent of a Marriott or Hyatt, and it is incredible. Like, you have your privacy and everything else, but you're still staying in a hostel. Number 3. Types of hostels. So this one's also very, very broad. You have yoga hostels where people pay, and it's almost like a retreat style of a hostel where you come and you do yoga for a solid week, month, or whatever you want. You also have co-working hostels, which is basically the same as a co-working space. You're basically sharing an area to work. So a lot of these hostels, though, the people are all working from 8 to 5 or sometimes even later. But in the night, they all get together. They talk about what they did. They have drinks. They sometimes go out to dinner. And I personally absolutely love co-working hostels because it keeps me on task, and I don't have like nearly as many people saying, "Oh, well, let's go do this." And I'm like, "Well, I have some work to do, but I guess we'll do that tomorrow." So yeah, I absolutely love co-working hostels. And next, they also have women's hostels, and this is pretty self-explanatory. It's all for women. And I have never ran into a men's hostel, but I'm sure they have them. But the women's hostels, though, normally they're more like a retreat. I guess a retreat for men. I don't know. Like I said, I've never been to a women's hostel. And last one I'm going to talk about is the party hostel. Party hostels seem to be very, very numerous, and they seem to be at all different levels. I know of a couple that are just, I've heard stories that I'm like, whoa, okay, probably not for me. And I've heard of some that are a little bit more laid back. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of party hostels because number one, normally they're a little bit more expensive. So normally they're a little bit more out of my budget. Number two, I like it whenever I leave the party to actually leave the party. If the party's at my accommodation, it makes it very, very hard for me to leave the party. Whenever I'm ready to go to bed, I can't go to bed. But a lot of people, they absolutely love party hostels, and there's nothing wrong with being a party hostel goer because I actually do it, but I'll do it for 2 or 3 days at a time, and then I'll go to more of a chill, relaxed environment so I can regroup and just calm down and actually get some work done. But that's one of the bad things about party hostels. It's pretty hard to stay on task and get work done. Number 4, who stays at hostels? Well, I thought I knew that at one time. However, demographics have changed, and because of COVID-19, the average age of the hostel grower has actually increased. Previous to COVID, you would range in between, the average probably age was around, I would probably say 22, 23, maybe 21. However, now the average age, it seems like, has went all the way up to 28 to 30. So I'm actually back in the median of age, and it's really, actually really, really, really nice. Because previous to COVID, you had a lot of gap years and stuff like that from people in Europe, and those people would be about, or those people would be about 18 years old. So that brought down the age a lot. However, the whole time I was traveling in Mexico, and I met, I don't even want to guess, probably over 1,000 travelers, easily over 1,000 travelers, and I actually only met a handful of 18-year-olds, which previous to COVID, though, that would have been a whole lot more prevalent, and you would have seen, or I would have met probably a lot of 18-year-olds. Probably, I would have said probably 20% of those 1,000 people would have been 18-year-olds. Now, all of a sudden, we're going all the way down to maybe 1%. So it's really crazy how the demographic has changed. And also, these people that are staying in hostels now seem to be staying a whole lot longer and don't really have plans. I don't know if that's because of COVID or the whole demographics changed, but a lot of these people that are traveling at the moment, they have a full-time job that they're doing online, and they really don't have a place to go to, or if they have a place to go home to, they don't want to go home because it's in lockdown. So the demographic has completely changed. But you have ages right now all the way from 18-year-old all the way up to 50 or 60 years old. Of course, if you get over to Europe, you have some youth hostels which have an age gap probably at around 30, 35. But I mean, right now, especially in Mexico, like the demographics and the wide array of people's age is just mind-boggling, and it's so nice and refreshing because you have all different levels of maturity in that demographic. Hostel honorable mentions. So I'm basically just going to tell you a brief description of each one of these hostels and tell you why I loved it. Number 1, and these are in no specific order because they're in completely different parts of Mexico and they're not competing with each other. But number 1, Cucamonga. This hostel is really, really, really nice. However, they don't have breakfast. I wish they did have breakfast, but they don't have breakfast. But it's 3 blocks from the beach, and it's pretty much the only hostel in Puerto Morales, which is right south of Cancun. So you can walk to the beach, and also on the roof, they have an incredible view of the beach. So the next one we're going to talk about is Casa de Cai. This hostel I have been back to 3 times within the last 6 months. And I absolutely love Casa de Cai. Their breakfast is incredible. It's more of a homestay hostel, and the family just instantly invites you in and takes care of you. Actually, whenever I was there my 3rd time, I actually, like, my sciatica in my lower back just like completely like screwed up, and I could not walk. And they were actually the ones that kind of like nurtured me back to health and lined up my chiropractor appointment and everything like that. My next one I am going to talk about is Casa Garza. Casa Garza is in Merida. It is actually a boutique hostel. So you have pretty much all the amenities of a extreme nice boutique hotel, but you're paying hostel price, which is so incredible. They have a pool. Their breakfast also is incredible. Like whenever I stay in a hostel, I'd love to have a big full breakfast because I can actually justify spending more on that hostel, staying in a nicer place, and eating less throughout the rest of the day. And last but not least, I am going to talk about Hostel Mirador in San Cristobal. So Hostel Mirador is a very small hostel. I believe they only have about 17 beds. However, the people that are staying there seem to be staying quite a bit longer. They don't really seem to have as much turnover as a normal hostel. Like these people are staying there for 2 or 3 weeks, staying there for a month. I personally stayed there for 2 weeks. And this hostel, they make a great breakfast. And the absolute best part is I don't really want to quote price on here because I don't want them to raise their prices and be like mad at me because I quoted a price. But I'm going to tell you it's less than $10 per night, which is 200 pesos. Like for what you get at Hostel Mirador, they have a roof you can hang out with. I mean, like the value for money, I did not find a better value for money while I was traveling all of Mexico. So Hostel Mirador, you get the value for money. I mean, gold star for whatever that's worth. But as I said, these are in no particular order. They're in completely different areas, and they're not competing with each other. So hey, thank you so much for watching this YouTube video, and look forward to the next part of the series, which will be why I love hostels, and then the following part of why I hate hostels. So hey, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Beau out.